Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, and tonight we're on the red carpet at the New York premiere of Best of Enemies. We'll be bringing you interviews with the filmmakers as well as all of the celebrity guests, so get ready for a great night behind the velvet rope. Buckley Vidal is Fox meets MSNBC before any of that even existed, right?
And it's also another film about divas in a way, too. I mean, these guys were two huge characters with huge egos who were basically fighting for the soul of the nation on television in debate. And I just found it so fascinating when I found the original debates that Robert, my partner, brought to me. We instantly said, this is the most incredible, dramatic conversation I've ever seen. And we decided we had to make a film about it.
When you're making this film, obviously, you're talking about a whole different generation before the existence of cable, the internet.
Yeah.
And these guys really, in many ways, created modern television politics, right?
I mean, modern television politics was probably coming in one form or another, but these guys were certainly expedited it in a big way. You know, it was the first time that a network decided to put two guys on who just were willing to chew each other up and lay into each other. Now we see it all the time, but at the time, before then, television was like this civil place where people were very polite, and you never saw anybody raise their voice on television. Suddenly, these two guys come on television, it gets huge ratings, and TV news took notice.
This is awesome, man. Buckley and Vidal. It was MSNBC versus Fox back then, essentially. They were like the precursor to what we see today, right?
In a large way, we see what the narrowcasting audiences, what the narrowcasting networks have done, embodied in these two people on a broadcast. One guy's definitely going to be on the left side, one guy's definitely going to be on the right side. But the difference is your audience was mixed, as it were. Fox has a particularly right audience, MSNBC has a particularly left audience, so they're preaching to the choir. But here, these guys could change minds.
What got you guys interested in this story?
The footage, man. It was just the way that these guys went at each other and the way it resonated with the current politics in America, that sense of the political being personal, the culture wars that we're in. It's all in the DNA of this argument.
You must be excited to see this.
I'm really excited. I admire them both. I can't wait to hear their level of verbiage and erudition and so much that is missing from our modern discourse. Love of words, love of ideas, love of intellectual combat. I remember this in '68. I was like, 16 years old. So there I go, giving that away. Hello, but I remember this, and I remember kind of seeing them on television, thinking, whoa. But they still, isn't it funny? All these years later, they still remain just at the apex of that kind of intellectualism that I just don't think it exists now. We have a lot of screaming talking heads and a lot of people espousing their ideas, but these guys were really first-rate minds, and they had broad range of references and deep, they were deeply educated, and they happened to hate each other. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Vidal, Buckley. These two guys, man, they were MSNBC and Fox before there was MSNBC and Fox, right?
Yeah. And nobody has ever been as dramatically, brilliantly, wittily entertaining who hated each other's guts as much as these two did. And this documentary, it has no dull spots, believe me. Once it starts, nobody walks out. And you learn a lot from it. I don't think it had a great influence, only because television, in its dumb way, tried to duplicate the excitement of these two guys, and nobody comes up to that level.
They were so authentic. What we see today, so much of it is bravado. It's almost acting with political commentary. These guys were the real deal, right?
And contrived controversy, right. Get Mr. Right and Mr. Left, as if there were only two sides to any question, and miss abortion and miss against abortion, and And it's mechanical, and they don't have the genius personality and use of language that Buckley and Vidal had.
On so many levels, they framed what modern political commentary is today. What you guys are able to do, what Fox is doing, what CNN is doing, correct?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of what's going on today is a very cheap imitation of this. I mean, these were very learned men who, agree with them or disagree with them, had earned their opinions. And you know, some of the nastier things that happen here were very much of that time. It was not at all peculiar for people, to feel completely superior to anyone who was gay. And, this was... and by the way, I had no idea as a kid watching this that Gore Vidal was gay. That was not part of the audience understanding of what was going on here. There's just all sorts of dynamics in this that we in the audience didn't know about.
They sort of set the tone for what would follow. If you go back to the 1960s and look at what ABC put on with these debates, they became the template, I think in a much more elegant way, frankly, than the debate today. But this sort of contentious rivalry on the air that drew a big audience was, I think, the template for what we have seen on Fox and MSNBC as they've developed.
Dick Cavett was telling me that there's nothing today that can match what these guys brought to the game, and you talked about the eloquence of it.
Oh, yeah.
What made this clash so spectacular?
Well, number one, it was new. This was the first of its kind. But number two, it was the two men. I mean, they were genuine intellectuals with vastly different worldviews, and they clashed and engaged in a riveting manner. It was impossible to turn. I'm very excited about seeing this, by the way.
It's a great documentary. Yeah. Vidal, Buckley, do you know anything about these debates? This documentary is incredible, and in many ways it framed politics. Are you excited to see it?
I'm really looking forward to see it. Yeah, actually, I haven't seen anything yet of what they did, so I'm really looking forward to see it.
Tell me about Mr. Selfridge. It's such a great show, and again, the BBC is doing so much great work. Talk to me about the dynamics of the show and just this wonderful cast you guys put together.
Yeah, I mean, most of the actors are coming from the stage, so they're all like semi-legend back in the UK, and they're all amazing, very professional. We have Jeremy Piven as well, coming from America.
Yeah, Ari Gold in a BBC show. How crazy is that?
No, it is crazy, but Jeremy is very much like the British actors back there. You know, he's coming from the stage as well. He has amazing technique, and he's like a great addition to the. I mean, he's the man. You know, he's
awesome.
yeah, he's
Jeremy's
absolutely
the
amazing.
coolest guy ever.
Yeah, no, he's great.